All right, good morning, everybody. I got to get those St. Patty's Day bees out of the way. Doing some serious multitasking here. It's a lot of bees. So I just want to make a quick video. I made that video last night about the chemtrails, the contrails, whatever they were. I mean, there's no way they're contrails. I'm sorry. Contrails don't last for hours and hours and expand from 3 feet in width to, 1,000 yards in width. I mean, come on. Contrails don't do that. I can't see water vapor doing that. It just doesn't make any sense. But when I got over here, I asked Shannon if she had seen chemtrails. She said she hadn't noticed them. Well, that was when I was still on the bridge, and then I got over here to Largo, where we live, and I can understand why, because when you're in your neighborhood, there's trees, there's buildings, there's all kinds of things that block your line of sight to the horizon, or the general open sky. So I could see what they look like, clouds basically, if you can't get a panoramic view of the area. I mean, if you're sharp, you know what you're looking at. I mean, sharp in this respect, and you know what you're looking at. You can see that, whenever you see very straight clouds, you can be pretty well assured that that was a made, generated, fabricated, whatever word you want to use, cloud. It's not a natural cloud, But when you're driving down the road, you've got all these blocks to your line of sight. You don't really give it a second thought, to be honest with you. But when you're on the bridge and you have a panoramic view of the entire area and of the horizon, I mean, it's undeniable that these are manufactured, whatever you want to call them, clouds, environmental, I don't know what you call it, but what would be the best terminology, but when you're on the bridge, you can see, parallel lines of, clouds that are, just for the sake of argument, say, 10 feet wide at one end of the cloud and 1,000 yards wide at the other end of the cloud, because as the plane passes by, the cloud that it most recently left is thin, and the cloud that it left, a few minutes ago, it started to spread out. The thing that I noticed also last night was that the entire sky was, it looked like pollution, basically, or fog. In other words, without those chemtrails, contrails, I'm just going to call them chemtrails because there's no way they're contrails. Just because they're not contrails, it doesn't mean they're chemtrails, but there's something. So what I was going to say is that without those trails, I'll just call them trails, how about that? Without those trails, last night, my theory was that the sky would have been perfectly free of clouds. But with those trails, I mean, the sky was just littered with clouds. I mean, there were open spaces, but they were like, here and there, intermittent. I mean, it was, and but overall, it was just sky just looked dirty, I guess would be the best word, as opposed to fog, pollution. I mean, pollution would be a good word too, but the sky just looked dirty. I mean, you could tell it wasn't clear, and so I wanted to, this morning, point out that the sky is, again, perfectly clear. So are they going to kick off again at 9 o'clock and start, or thereabouts, 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock? Well, it is 7 o'clock right now, 7:10. But are they going to kick off again at 8 or 9 o'clock and start laying down trails again, you know, and make the sky look like it's a cloudy day. I don't know, I guess we're gonna see. I'll make another video, we'll see. But I just wanted to make this video to demonstrate, and I'll go over this little bridge here. So I'll just go over this little bridge to demonstrate that the sky is in fact perfectly clear right now. So come 8, 9 o'clock, I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, theoretically they could be up there right now. They could just be at a really high altitude where we can't see them. So it'll be interesting. But here's what the sky looks like right now. So as long as I'm not creating a reflection off the window, you should be able to see. I guess I don't have to go over the bridge actually. I mean, it looks perfectly clear. Everywhere you look, perfectly clear. There's a haze on the horizon, but I mean, that's just atmospheric stuff. It could be some pollution. We have a couple of power plants over there. I mean, just to illustrate how, what's the right word? Blind sounds insulting. I don't want to sound insulting. It's just a fact. I mean, I don't know what other word to use, so I'm just going to say blind. I don't mean to be insulting. I don't mean it that way. I don't mind insulting people when it's, you know, the situation calls for it, but the situation doesn't call for it in this case, so I don't really want to sound insulting. But I don't know what other word to use. So blocked, I guess. I mean, to illustrate how blocked people are to things like this, I used to work on the 13th floor of a building in downtown Tampa. And at the time I would ride the bus to work because it dropped me off literally right next door to the entrance to my building. Whereas when I parked, I had to park and pay like $5 a day or something like that, and then I had to walk 3 blocks, you know. So the bus was awesome because I could just sit, and actually I read all the way to work, and then I got dropped off a block from the office, so it was nice. But on the way to work, we'd be going over the bridge, and I had a panoramic view of the power plant, and I could see the smoke coming out of the top of the stack at the power plant. This is on the Tampa side, and it just formed a cloud that, you know, depending on which way the wind blew, but on the days that I noticed it, the cloud would just go up and start floating to the north, and you could see a very clear line of demarcation between where the cloud stopped and where the sky started. And the cloud was yellowish, grayish, brownish in color. So, you know, it was undeniable. I mean, it was just like right there in front of you. So at work one day, we're on the 13th floor, we're standing next to the window, and we see this cloud. You know, it's like a stratus, you know, how do you say, like, you know, layers of sky that are different color. You know, like you got the yellow brown down near to the ground, and then you got the sky color, you know, up a little ways up, you know. And my boss made a comment about it. I forget what he said. He said something, and I said, yeah, that's pollution. It's from the power plant. And he's like, nah. I mean, he literally wouldn't believe it. He refused to believe it. Nobody believed it. Nobody else even noticed it. I mean, it was as clear as day. I mean, it was undeniable, you know. So, you know, I have a friend who said, I don't know how you can believe in these conspiracy theories. The government can't keep anything secret, you know. And he went on to mention some things, famous things that have been found out. And I'm like, but dude, there's things that right in front of people's faces. They don't. It's not that they don't see it. It's that they don't believe it, or they don't want to think about it, you know. So the way the government keeps secrets is by just putting it in people's faces and then laughing at anybody that says that they see it. It's so I don't know how long ago they figured it out, but at some point in time they figured out, you know, we can't keep secrets, so we just have to put everything out in the open, and then just psychologically control the population to ignore it in spite of the fact that it's right in front of their face. We'll just teach people to make fun of people that say that it's there, you know. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it works, and it's like how do you say, it's like rock solid science. I mean, you got people who you can stand there and look at the pollution. You can see it. It's undeniable. Anybody you ask if they see it, they see it. They say yes, they see it, and then you tell them it's pollution, and they refuse to believe it. It's like what? It's psychological control. It's like a black box. It's like you know, I don't know what I don't know what it's like, but it's just incredible. So that's the way they do it. They just put things right in your face, in our face, and then they say it's not there. And since they have authority, and we really don't want to believe it anyway, because I think who was it? Voltaire, maybe, a French philosopher. He said it's a dangerous thing to disagree with your government, or it's a dangerous thing to say things your government doesn't want to be said, or it's a dangerous thing. That's not the exact quote, but there's a quote, something along those lines, is that it's scary, it's dangerous, and you know, people don't like to be made fun of. I mean, that part is extraordinarily childish. I mean, that part is hard to wrap your head around, as to how grown-ups can be so childish as to literally be terrified at the notion of being made fun of by their peers. I mean, that's just like, it's like really? I mean, because it's not nominal, it is profound. I mean, people are profoundly afraid of being made fun of by their peers, mocked and humiliated. I mean, it's just, I can't, I have difficulty wrapping my head around. I see it happening right in front of my, that's one of those things. For me, I see it happening right in front of my face, and I just stand there in a state of disbelief, and I'm just like, it's just, I don't get it. And yet, I turn around, and then I have the exact same experience myself. And it strikes terror in our psyches, in our minds, the notion of being mocked and humiliated. It has that power, and occasionally I get caught, I get swept up in it, and I just have to take a step back and say, well, wait a minute. I'm getting swept up in the same terror and fear that I look at other people getting swept up in as a habit, habitually. You know, basically they live their entire lives in terror and fear of being humiliated and made fun of by their peers, like children in a schoolyard. You know, I look at them, and I'm in a state of disbelief that they would respond that way, and yet here I am having the exact same impulse. You know, so it's incredible. There's no other word for it. It's just incredible. So I'll take another video of this guy, provided that they do start up laying down those chemtrails, contrails, trails, whatever they are. Okay, peace out, everybody. Have a great day if I don't talk to you in a little bit. Bye.